Next in my notebook, okay, back to my notebook on the end of the table, is vocabulary. And I have the master word list here in my notebook. And then I printed a master word list for each of my children that are doing vocabulary, and then they are using the index card option. There were two different options. You could print out a printed form every week, or you could have them handwrite it onto index cards. I have so many children doing it that I went ahead with the cheaper index cards, and I'll let them write it. Now, I also have in my notebook at the back of the end of the table, I have some vocabulary review games just to remind me of what they are. You can download those under the Language Arts tab on your membership, and it's on the vocabulary page. Okay, next it's math time. Again, I put the math drills and the math teacher manuals on my Kindle, and I printed the worksheets for each of the kids. I have them put into their own notebook, and I don't have them sharing on this because they're probably going to be doing math at the same time each day, and I think they would just get frustrated with each other. As for copy work, I only printed out handwriting templates for my 6-year-old and my 8-year-old daughters. The rest of my children are already able to write without needing these examples. So they just copy right out of their Bibles each day because they've been doing it longer. I don't print out the entire Bible for even my younger students at once because my goal is to wean them off of these templates and save myself printer ink. So I might print 10 pages or so at a time, and then we will reevaluate and maybe print out the next level where the handwriting is a little bit smaller, a little bit more cursive. And if their handwriting has matured enough, then they get to graduate up to a level, and they're excited when they don't have to have these at all, and they get to be a big kid and copy straight out of their Bibles. That's our goal. Now, during copy work time, while my kids are working on that, I take a break from school and let the kids work rather independently till lunchtime as much as possible because I'm tired, but I'm nearby if they need me. After that, we have lunch, and I do oral language, and then after that, it's time for PE, but my husband handles PE. I know, that's not fair. I have my husband home, but all I have left then is science after that. So in my notebook, we're back to my notebook where I'm printing subjects out. Whoops, I think I put spelling in here instead of science. Here, there we go. There's science. I don't actually, I wanted to show you, I just put the wrong picture up. I do print out the little kids' science and put it into my notebook because I kind of think it through during my week and I plan out things for them to do. I only do science with them a very short bit each week. Now, the older kids' science goes on my Kindle, not into my notebook. I'm sorry, I have the picture wrong. But then here we have a picture of one of my daughter's notebooks, and it's printed out for her to have in her notebook because she has some independent assignments. Now, I'm not planning to print out art and crafts and chores and things like that. I just look at the computer like all of you guys, or just check it, right off of the computer screen. Print things as I need them and save ink. Okay, the next section of my notebook contains a divider for each of my students. So I have 7 of them. I even have one here for my little 3-year-old because there are days that I want to remember to do things with him or to teach him certain things. And then in the last back section of my notebook, I have even more tabs. I have printed out the individual Bible reading schedules that are online. My 5 older children are reading through the Bible on their own each year. And just so that I can look at a glance at what they are supposed to be reading each day and ask them maybe to tell me about it sometimes and hold them accountable, but even more so, we can strike up good discussions as the Spirit leads. So, and then in the very back of my notebook, you can kind of cock your head sideways. I wanted you to see that I have 3 manila file folders. One says attendance records, and this is just where I put my Together School Planner at the end of each week and then print out a fresh one. And this becomes a record of our schoolwork, and it goes in the drawer at the end of the year. And then the next tab says spelling, and this is where I record the grade that each child gets on its weekly spelling test. Now, after that, it's another folder for arithmetic grades to be recorded in. And I just file the test right behind where I have the grades written down. And these are the only 2 subjects that I keep grades for because it's not required for my state. Now, you might have different requirements. I do it more for my own sake to make sure that they are doing well on their spelling, especially because, as I said, I delegate that subject to my oldest son, and I don't want to be checked out and not even aware if my children are able to spell or not. So let's review. at this point, my notebook is starting to fill up with everything that is not loaded into my Kindle. I already have the curriculum loaded onto my Kindle because we wrote it. But if it weren't, I would load it on the first day of each week when I went in to get, that's what I would do. I would just pick a day each week that I'd get all my lesson plans for that week and then load things up on my Kindle. I would recommend making yourself a list of all of the things that you're going to print each week, okay? I don't have this because mine is already available, but that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. And then I would have another list of everything that I would, if it were you, I would load onto my Kindle or tablet or whatever. Basically, you need a checklist. And once you have that checklist made, the first time you make it, it's going to be a bear to make, but after that, it'll be a breeze. And then just pick a date each week to just sit down and do it, or go to a copy shop or whatever that you're doing. Now, just refer to it each week. So we've got my notebook. I've got everything printed, everything loaded onto my Kindle. I have my children's notebooks mostly set up by now, too, because as I was going through each subject, I was printing what they needed. And then they each have their homework checklists in the front of their notebooks, just like I have my Together School Planner in the front of mine. Some of the children have handwriting reference sheets in their plastic sheet protectors. They have phonics, grammar, vocabulary word lists, a writing section that's basically just filled with notebook paper, their copywork templates for the children that do need them, science for those that are doing science, and math, of course, for just about everybody. My high school students who are learning Hebrew as their foreign language have some of that going into their notebooks. Each student has 2 composition books. One is for spelling. They write their spelling words in it. And the other one is for copywork, and that's where they're copying scripture. Each of them have some lined index cards for vocabulary, and then we put them into this basket up here on top of this bookshelf. And I have the phonics cards and their Hebrew flashcards in there as well. That's just something that my high school students are using. It's not part of the curriculum. Then I have these 3 folders that contain spelling, writing, and typing because we are sharing those and I didn't want to print them. That's just an optional way of doing it. Then over here on the shelf, this is where we put some binders that we store our notebooking assignments. Now, I know all these words, binders and notebooks, it gets confusing, but these notebooking assignments are, for instance, in history, it'll say, make a page with a map of the Middle East, okay, whatever. This is where we store all of these things. Now, last year, my daughter was in kindergarten, and she made her little purple sparkly notebook, had a page for each letter of the alphabet. And we also have a notebook for Bible time, which they can store their memory verse activities in and anything else that sometimes the curriculum will ask you to do. Okay, then we have a history notebook. This one gets used quite a bit. We have worksheets, maps, assignments, lots of fun stuff here. Got different things that we were doing. And then I also put our geography assignments if we have those. I just put those right in with history just to save myself another notebook. Then we have a science notebook. And you can see our family is not the craftiest, most scrapbooking family that ever existed. I'm kind of embarrassed to let you see our notebooks. We're not really that gorgeous, but man, you guys probably have so much creativity coming out of you that your notebooks will be amazing. But whatever it is, our kids do love doing it and having their work on display and looking back at it. While I was putting this video together today, the kids were enjoying looking back at last year's and seeing what they had done. Now, I don't have a binder for our timeline because I bought a timeline book many years ago. Let's see, probably almost 12 or 13 years ago. And we just keep using that one, and it's nice to remember what we've talked about on our timelines in previous years. You could purchase a timeline book, or you could print one off the internet. You could make one yourself. You can just see it's just a line with dates. Or you could hang a strip of paper around the edge of the room. I have a friend that does that and put all of the year's dates on it. It's nice. Whatever you do, just be consistent and do something that works for your family. I think you're going to really enjoy the timelines. Now, I have a dedicated schoolroom, as you can see, but I have not always had that. And I wanted to emphasize that again to tell you to customize this. For most of our lives, the dining room table has served as our schoolroom, and I had a crate, and each child had a crate. And at the end of the school day, the crates went into their bedrooms so that we could feel like a normal family again for just a couple minutes and get away from that school feeling for at least one meal a day. It was really important to my husband, by the way. He hates clutter. Now, another year we had a lot of doctor appointments to travel to, and those crates were switched out for bags for each child, so we could just pick up the bag and put it in the van with us and go. Now, there is no right or wrong system. Just do what works best for you. But the old saying of a place for everything and everything in its place does help to relieve some of the stress of homeschooling. Try to store things near where their point of use is, because you'll be more likely to actually put things away if their homes are handy, rather than having a really pretty storage system but more complicated. So, for instance, over on the top picture, you'll see this purple thing and all these mounds of junk. It looks awful in this picture. Probably looks awful in real life. But anyway, that's our coloring and our markers and our stencils and our stickers and our Scotch tape and our rulers and our compasses and all of those things, and we just have it all in this big tote and plop it in the middle of the table. And other years, though, each child has had their own, and it's been in their crate because we never knew where we would be, and it just depends on the year, doesn't it? I think you'll understand that. And by the way, this is my cat, Mocha, who wanted to be in the picture. Okay, now this is how we set up our crates. This is just what we're doing this year. Each crate has a Bible in it, and I recommend, because you're going to be using your Bible a lot, I do recommend getting some of those zipper covers for them so that they just don't fall apart so quickly. The crates will have their chapter books in it, maybe some nonfiction books if I've assigned them to them to read, their composition books for spelling and copywork, maybe some spiral notebooks if you have a reason for wanting to use them, that's fine, maybe a crayon container. Put all of that into each crate. My high school students get a few more books because I make them do a lot. I figure this is the only time in their life they're going to have all this spare time, so I kind of pile it on for them. And then I have the rest of our school supplies here on the shelf. Our fiction books are arranged here, and the rest of this is mostly just books for me, used to actually write all of the curriculum. And here's our whiteboard, and it's over where we can use it. And then here is our calendar, our traditional calendars, our chore charts, and up above I have a wipe-off calendar that I can use the biblical Torah calendar on. And then here are baskets that are just filled with manipulatives and flashcards and miscellaneous school and science supplies that I've collected over the years. And that's basically it. We're ready to start our new school year. So if you have any questions, if it's still not clear, I'm sure it will take you quite a few hours to put all of this together, and then a week or two or three of adjusting and tweaking to make sure that it fits your personality and your style, and you're not just copying the Elliots. I guarantee you the more you copy me, the more frustrated you're going to be. I think you should just throw me out the window and make it fit you. Go to the website as if it's a smorgasbord and pick and choose the things that Yahweh puts on your heart that He wants you to teach your family. And if there's anything we can do to make that process easier, you feel free to let us know. Otherwise, just customize it and make it fit your family. All right, this has been Ann, and it's been a privilege to help and serve you. We'll talk to you again on another video soon.